Hello, the internet, and welcome to another episode of
80-Bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer. We are your hosts,
Penguin and Termite,
and we are a weekly video game podcast smashing together the ideas of video games, culture, art, sometimes politics, and all the other things that we care about.
Yeah, and you should care about too.
And tonight, we are drinking Victory Brewing.
Victory Brewing, yes. We are drinking a twist on their Golden Monkey, which anybody who has ever had to go to like a Giant or a Food Lion late night for a beer run can attest to. It's probably the best bang for your buck in regards to ABV per dollar.
Yeah,
that you can
Golden
get in
Monkey
any.
will light you up.
So this is Golden Monkey, but it's called Sour Monkey. So it's a sour twist. It's a little bit more refreshing for it's a little bit less sweet, more sour, more tart. But still kind of sweet, so it tastes to me like I think I told you before this. It tastes like a Warhead. I don't know if it's gotten sour, more sour since I brought it over the weekend.
I don't know,
but maybe it was also just because it was hot outside, and so anything tasted refreshing and sweet. And now I'm like inside in the air conditioning. I'm like, oh, it's mighty sour, mighty tart.
It's probably colder than it was too, because didn't you bring it room temp? And then we tried to
cool
cool it
but
down
we cooled it
in a hurry.
Yeah, maybe.
So for those of you who might be beer minded, this is a triple, which is a Belgian style beer that is, they made a sour out of the same base. So Golden Monkey is the triple, and this is the sour version of it.
Yeah,
I like this way better.
I think I do too. At least right now, because I've had Golden Monkey so much that it's just kind of like, I don't really want to get Golden Monkey again. But this is good.
We should get both and do a little taste comparison.
Ooh.
I wonder if our audience would like that. Maybe they can let us know. And where can they find us?
They can find us at Twitter. They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Reddit. They can find us on Instagram at 80-Bit Podsmash in pretty much all cases.
Mm-hmm.
And or you can send us an email at 80bitpodsmash@gmail.com. Yeah.
And we have 80bitpodsmash.com as our landing site with links to both iTunes and Google Play. Please go there, like and subscribe. And we're now asking all of our audience to share us.
Yes, share the episode link.
Like actually post it on your wall so that your friends can see us.
I don't think anyone has yet. So maybe we'll have to start providing some incentive.
Ooh.
I'm doing the little, you can't see it because we're at audio only, but I'm doing the little finger thing to indicate money.
Money, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the, there's many finger things.
Is that Parks and Rec?
Yeah, that's Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
It was the Ralphios.
That's right.
Money, please. I'm technically homeless. I love them. They're probably some of my favorite side characters in any TV show ever. All right. So
what's been going on?
Well,
what's going on in Penguin's
life? I'm going to date the episode a little bit by saying that today was August 8th, which was the most recent Nintendo Direct.
Oh my gosh.
Information.
We're going to bring this up.
Yeah, we got to bring it up just because.
Hold on, everyone. We might not get to our topic. We're so excited about.
This might suddenly become a Smash Bros episodes, but we're called 80-Bit Podsmash for a reason. So
hey, there you go.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I know.
They revealed
so much cool stuff.
They revealed so much, and I didn't expect it from them. Like, I saw they were coming out on Nintendo Direct, and I was like, oh, wow. I bet we're at least going to get a character announcement. Like, I thought they were going to feature the other things they talked about, like stages, game modes, and stuff like that, and items, which they did. They talked plenty about that stuff, all of which very interesting stuff, a lot of quality of life improvements to the game.
Yeah.
But they came right out the bat with Simon Belmont from Castlevania and an Echo Fighter for him, too, Richter Belmont. I was like, what, two? And they immediately followed it up with 2 additional Echo Fighters, Dark Samus and Crom, who is a Fire Emblem person that we are the least excited about, is the most
Fire Emblem again.
Yeah,
it's the 9th one.
It brings
Come on,
seven.
guys.
7.
I thought it was 9.
7.
Okay, 7.
7.
Still freaking
7.
Fire Emblem characters.
It's basically like it's now ahead of Zelda again because Zelda had
but
caught
at least
up.
Zelda's got some diversity.
Right. Yeah, not much, but it's got some diversity. Right. Yeah, and then finally they finished off, which of course they did. Like they got to they always do. They got to the end and they're like, okay, see you next time, and then of course. They did.
Oh, that troll at the end.
That was good.
Hilarious.
Yeah, they showed Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong
inside their little hut.
Inside a little hut, and they're watching TV, and they turn the TV off, and then they suddenly heard stomping.
Like boom, boom.
Yeah,
and everyone knew it was King K. Rool.
King K. Rool.
Like, everyone knew that.
Who's the bad guy from the Donkey Kong franchise.
So the shadow of King K. Rool shows up, and Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong are freaking out. And then King DDD pulls off his King K. Rool costume.
Yeah, King DDD from Kirby,
cries.
who's been in Smash Bros since 3.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and then he laughs at them and trolls them, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on here? Who's the real character?" And then smack, he gets
King K.
smacked
Rool
upside
comes
the
up
head,
and,
King
yeah,
K.
like,
Rool, the
not
real
open,
one,
out.
comes. So yes, they added the bad guy from Donkey. So a new Donkey Kong character that brings Donkey Kong.
I'm really excited about
that brings that franchise
There
up
was
to 3.
concerns, apparently, King K. Rool was owned by Rare. Because he hasn't made an appearance in any Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, wow.
So, like, all the returns made by Retro Studios, they didn't have the rights to King K. Rool, at least so we thought. And apparently they've rectified all of that, just like they did with all the other characters, like Snake.
Yeah, and Castlevania's Konami.
Konami, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
is
it's
Snake.
nice.
Yeah,
so it's
there's
nice
some
that there's
relationship happening
yeah,
there.
definitely. That's great. So I'm very pleased with the 5 announcements, and he said there's more to come, which is even crazier. So, I mean, I assume there's DLC characters, but it seems like they're also going to be announcing some launch characters in the next 4 months, which they have 4 months. So I'm not surprised they're spreading out those announcements. Keep that hype going. So there's way more to talk about there. Let's and yes, I'm sure both of our favorite things this week technically will probably be Smash Bros.
I'm going to not talk about Smash.
I am not either. Okay. So
but
fine.
it is my favorite thing right now.
Exactly. I'm like, that's honestly my favorite thing, but we'll skip it instead. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Favorite things, which we were just talking about, is a segment of our podcast where we like to just catch you up on what's going on with us, specifically what our favorite thing is, what thing that we're really excited about for the week. So every week we pick a different favorite thing and try to keep it fresh for you.
Yeah.
So,
my favorite thing occurred to me the day after we recorded the last episode, which was like a week ago. So I had to record it in a note so I would remember it.
Yeah.
It was in the moment. I'm at work, and I got to go. Like, I drank so much water. I run down to the
Wait,
restroom.
is this a commercial? Or are we doing a commercial now?
No. So I run down to the restroom, and I pop into the bathroom, but I always have to, because the way that my office is structured, if I want water or coffee or bathroom, I got to walk a long way.
Right.
And that's just a consequence of the building we're in.
Yeah.
So I always bring my coffee mug and my water bottle with me. Well, the bathroom's first, and I really got to go. So my hands are full. I use the elbow to open the door, and I walk in. Lo and behold, a brand new table is sitting in the men's room. And I'm like, yes, finally. And it became my immediate favorite thing.
Wow.
I can set my water bottle and my coffee down on a sanitary space, not located on or around the urinal.
Yes, okay.
Which is where I normally park my stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of gross.
Kind of gross,
but I can overcome it because the bathroom is very clean where I work.
Our listeners are going to know way more about our bathroom habits than they ever cared to if they've listened to us since episode.
I have my hands full in restrooms.
Sure, yeah, no, I got you. I got you. The restroom comes first, and you got to go.
And laptops and like a table in a bathroom is such a glorious thing. Mm-hmm. But then it got my mind rolling, and I was like,
"Oh, business idea."
Later in the day, the evolution of bathrooms. You know, in the 80s, everyone smoked cigarettes, so there were ashtrays in bathrooms. Correct. Those got removed. They're gone. If you go into a ladies' room, there is shelves or little compartments for feminine hygiene products to be deposited in. They're like the bathrooms kind of accommodate the culture in such a way, right? So there's no more ashtrays in bathrooms because we don't smoke anymore. It's bad. So like there's no smoking allowed. What I'm thinking is what's going to happen, it's got my brain thinking, we need smartphone shelves. Because when you walk in and you don't have anywhere to put your phone, but you know you got to use the bathroom, you got to do a number 2, you're going to be on your phone. Yeah. But you can't hold your phone and take care of yourself at the same time. So you need to like put your phone down somewhere.
Put it in your pocket.
But then that's on the floor. And then when you stand up and pull your pants up, your phone risks coming out of your pocket into the toilet. Okay. It's cumbersome. Okay. It's a situation.
I'm not going to ask any more about your bathroom habits.
I really wish there was a shelf for your phone in toilet stalls. Okay. That would be awesome. Yeah. So you can set your phone down, take care of yourself, stand up, buckle your belt, and go on with yourself. That'd be great. But my favorite thing is a table in the men's restroom to put your stuff down so you can go pee.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yep.
All right. My favorite thing, it is going to be video game related this time, but so I don't often like to do that, but this time I'm really excited. So the new WoW expansion drops next week, and so far I pre-ordered it, so of course I'm going to play. I'm going to give it a month. Like literally I've already unsubbed it. Like I subbed it and then unsubbed it immediately so that I could just have the thing canceled, and then if I decide to resub it at the end of the month, then great. But I'm probably not, because Spider-Man comes out right when my sub goes up, so I'm probably gonna go right into that.
Can't wait.
But yeah, I'm gonna give BFA a month, and
Battle for Azeroth.
Yes, Battle for Azeroth. So yeah, with that in mind, the story, I'll start with the gameplay. The pre-patch event that they've been doing, the gameplay has been real weak. It was like basically what amounts to like a quest and a scenario, and the scenario, is just of 20 people just spamming their abilities until things are dead. Like, no interesting. It's not like a raid where it's got interesting mechanics or anything like that, because it's not meant to be hard. And it's not meant to drop good loot. It's just meant to tell the story. So, yeah, the gameplay has been meh. But the story, the build-up, the, like, what they've been doing to, like, hype up both of the factions and the faction conflict has been really interesting. And I have a hard time telling. I think I've landed on the side of, I actually think it's pretty good writing. But it comes across as such bad writing. It's like good writing disguised as bad writing, but it's doing its job. Like, it's getting everybody talking about it, and it's getting everybody, like, hyped up about the faction. So you've got the Horde, and on the one side, so you've got the Horde, and, like, they've got one character who, like, has been a fan favorite for a while, but's, like, kind of going down a dark path and, like, doing some pretty bad things. And, like, people are really frustrated because they're like, her name's Sylvanas. She was from Warcraft 3. She got resurrected as a banshee, and now she's undead. She was an elf. So she's this undead elf, and she's doing these bad things. She burns down one of the Alliance main cities. Not just the city, but she burns down the entire tree that the city...
The Tree of Life.
Yeah, one of the world trees or whatever. So
World Tree.
Yeah,
sorry.
World Tree, yeah. So she burns down a world tree. It's got a city on it and basically commits genocide against, like, the Night Elves, and it's crazy. And so, like, everyone's like, why'd she do that? Why'd she do that? And but, like, they've been revealing all this, like, complex character motivation, and they've been revealing, like, dissent amongst the Horde. So, like, there's the, you know, one of the characters is like, that's not honorable. I don't, like, agree with that. And so he goes,
Thrall?
That's Sarfang. Thrall, gosh, like, Thrall's been not missing, but, like, not really doing anything for the past, like, 3 expansions.
Oh, he's coming back, baby. You know
maybe,
he is. Come on.
but there's, Sarfang is the big orc character right now that everyone's paying attention to. So, like, things are going on with the Horde and everyone's conflicted, but, like, they also still have this faction pride of, like, even though we don't agree with Sylvanas, like, we're still going to rally together for the Horde. And, like, Blizzard's been, like, releasing cinematics and bits of the story to do that. Like, they knock them down and then pick them back up. So then, like, for like a week, the Alliance got nothing. Like, the Horde has been having all this character development, and then this week they dropped the scenario where you've got, like, the Alliance then attack the Undercity, and it, like, lots of character development too. Cool. Like, Jaina comes back with a big old ship and blows up, like, part of the wall, and like, Sylvanas also does some more bad stuff, like, starts using the plague against her own people.
Jeez.
And King Anduin, you remember the little kid in Stormwind? He's, like, all grown up now. He's the king because Varian, his dad, died in the last expansion. Right. So, like, him and Gen Greymane, the Worgen guy, like, they're having conflict between themselves, like, each other too. Like, you know, Anduin, who thus far has been, like, really respectful of Gen, like, he tells him to shut up at one point, and you're like, oh, character development. So, and what was also beautiful is they had this. It takes place in Lordaeron, the city, the original Alliance city in Warcraft 2 that got wrecked by the undead in Warcraft 3.
Yep.
And there's a cinematic in Warcraft 3 where Arthas, like, comes through the city and kills his dad.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The cinematic at the end of the Lordaeron battle in the pre-expansion patch for BFA, when Anduin comes through Lordaeron, the shots match up perfectly with Arthas. So they're doing, like, a mirroring thing with Arthas and cool. Anduin. It's pretty cool. So, like, they're doing some really interesting things, but then there's just some moments where you're just like, that's bad writing. Like, that's not good. So, like, some of the writing's weird. Like, they had Sylvanas basically quote the girl from Full House at one point.
What?
Yeah. Like, she... You know, one of the characters is her big sister, Ilaria, and Ilaria says something to Sylvanas like, I should have killed you when I had the chance. And Sylvanas goes, how rude, big sister. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
That's Stephanie from Full House. Yeah. Like,
that's campy.
So there's some really weird campy moments, but Warcraft's always been full of it, like full of campy moments. And that's why I say it's good writing disguised as bad writing. And I'm hyped. I'm pumped. I'm like, I wrote For the Alliance on my board at work.
You did.
And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's kill some Horde. So I'm really psyched, and I'm excited for
I think it's cool that they're circling
drops.
back around to that, because that was like the original conflict in World of Warcraft, and it happened in 2004.
And ever since, like, the Horde and the Alliance have had skirmishes, and they've had conflicts since, but for the most part, it's like, let's band together to stop the Burning Legion.
Right.
Let's band together to stop the Lich King.
Yeah. Here's this big ominous threat we have to ally
and everybody
together.
expects that this is, like, there's a running joke that it's like, oh yeah, this is totally a faction war expansion, quotes. And the reason is because there's lots of evidence to point that, like, there's going to be, like, old god stuff, like the creepy, like, Cthulhu-like things that infest. It's a whole thing.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's a whole thing in the story. So there's going to be probably some big bad evil, but it looks like they're at least going to try to do the faction conflict thing for a little while. And that's fun. They're getting the community talking about it, which is most important, and getting everybody on there, because that's the faction. The idea of 2 factions really sets WoW apart in the MMO market.
Yeah.
So being able to
the last expansion I played was Cataclysm. So I don't know, Miss Pandaria and Worlds of Draenor and Legion.
Yeah.
3 expansions. I have not been connected to World of Warcraft, so I have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I heard there was like a little scuttlebutt. That's actually a word for like gossip. But this is not gossip. This is factual. That Blizzard came out with a patch or a hotfix because of the leveling pacing.
Oh yeah,
was screwed up. Were you affected by this?
No, I unsubbed. I resubbed after they'd fixed it all because I knew that was going on. I was like, I'm gonna let them fix this. But they do they've done. I think it was Warlords of Draenor when they first did this, but they did what's called stat squish because the numbers were just getting too high. Mm-hmm. So like, it was getting to the point where like you get 2 pieces of gear and you have to determine which one was better, and one of them would have like 14,500 points of agility, and the other one would have 14,600 points of agility, and you're like it just got to the point where the numbers started to become fairly meaningless.
Yeah.
So
that's what they did.
So the strength and everything is still. So they did it again. They did another stat squish. And so the relative strength, your relative strength to the monsters that are level 80, for example, is still relatively the same as it was when the numbers were huge. But just for the manageability and sanity of the players, they've squished everything. They actually squished it a lot more than I thought they did.
Part of the issue.
So like, yeah.
They broke some stuff.
Yeah, they broke leveling from basically, well, they broke leveling across the board, and they were able to hotfix stuff early to fix it. But for like 2 weeks, there was this section between level 60 and 80 that was you literally couldn't kill monsters. Like you'd be sitting the same monster for 10 minutes and it would still be alive.
Jeez.
From what I heard. Like that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it seemed like
max level is 120?
The max level will be 120
with the new one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
dang.
Yeah. A lot of people are calling for a level squish. Like we think that's getting to the point where like we just need to squish levels again because leveling up is just a pain.
Right.
But anyways.
1 level equals 2, max level 60 again.
Yeah.
Just like OG World of Warcraft, baby.
Yeah. So
that'd be
I don't
awesome.
know. Or they seem to retire the game and do WoW 2.
Ooh. Yeah, with an entirely new
and just change everything up, completely change everything up, and just
World of Diablo. No, World of StarCraft.
No, they just need to do World of Warcraft too, and they like need to jump forward 20 years, 50 years in the timeline, and everything's changed, and you're leveling up new characters that then get to do 60 again, and yeah, that would fix a lot of problems with the games.
I really, really want to see the Vanilla WoW. Official Vanilla WoW release again.
I'm sure we'll see more information at BlizzCon.
I hope so.
Yeah.
When is that?
November usually.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to DLC. You had a DLC.
I did.
Yeah.
Downloadable content.
DLC.
Yep. That's a little extra bit that's completely separate from our main topic that you guys get for the low, low price of
nothing
free with this podcast.
Yeah, it's half off our the price for the podcast.
Ooh.
So it's 50% off.
Of free.
Which is free. More free. It's
more
free.
Ooh. So it's August.
Uh-huh.
In fact, it's almost the middle of August. By the time you guys hear this, it will be the middle of August,
yeah.
which is arguably the hottest and most humid month where we live on the East Coast here in DC, close to DC and Richmond in Virginia. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be outside. I want to be inside.
Yes.
I run on the treadmill more often. I stay at my desk more often. I don't take walks outside anymore. Well, back in the day, when I was in school, I wouldn't go outside and play. I would stay inside.
Play games.
It was nice and cool in the air conditioning.
Yes.
And I would play games. So my DLC topic question is, what are your summertime gaming memories where it was too hot and miserable to be outside that you have like fond, I have no responsibilities, I'm on summer break.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, for most kids, August is right before school starts, and so any extracurricular summer things have kind of wound down, and you always get a couple of weeks in August.
Yeah.
That's why I want to highlight August specifically, is because like that's your real summer break.
That's where you really get
for
it,
the high productive kids.
Yeah.
I had the whole summer off because I didn't do crap.
Yeah.
But there are things.
I don't know these high productive kids you are talking about.
Right?
Where are my
like,
summer breaks?
Summer classes, come on.
Ugh.
I did summer classes in college, but anyway.
Governor school, what the hell? Get out of here, you smarties.
So yeah, what are your summertime gaming memories?
Yeah, well, I mean, to go off the Blizzard, I mean, I know I just spent a while talking about a Blizzard game, but like maybe it was their release schedules, but like I very specifically remember being at Scout Camp and dying like the whole week because I was like, I just want to go home and I've got Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos waiting for me. So, like...
Warcraft 3 was a good summer game.
I just played crap out of Warcraft 3. It was
a June or July release.
And I was, like, in middle school, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it was...
That's a good point.
Yeah, and that's why I was like...
That was summertime for real.
And that was, like, real summertime. I remember talking about it before it came out. I remember specifically... I don't know why. Like, you just associate memories with random things. But I remember, like, driving home from playing paintball with some friends and like talking with them about Warcraft 3 coming out and like how awesome. Like they were like, oh yeah, we played the beta and the undead are awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are the night elves? I want to know. So that's one. And then the other one I remember playing a lot of was Diablo 2. Like I remember some summertime. Like I remember that was one of the first games that I just did a ton of research on, just like figure it out. So I remember like looking up like the rune words. I remember looking up like drop rates and stuff. I remember getting into the economy and being like,
how did you look it up?
How many Stones of Jordan? It was those early internet days.
56K?
Yeah.
Dial-up, AOL?
I think this was a little bit, I think this was like the onset of broadband. Yeah. So like there were resources out there. Now there were some sketchy places to get that resources, but I remember looking things up and being able to find the information that I needed. So that was like the first game that I really did like research on. And yeah, that was like right at the onset of the internet to be able to even do that. And yeah, I just remember putting tons of hours into researching and figuring out like Diablo 2's like crazy whacked up like player made economy where they'd be like, it costs 3 Stones of Jordan, which is a ring, like a wearable ring. It's like, it costs 3 Stones of Jordan to get this rune.
Once I heard about that, I was like, I'm not playing Diablo 2 anymore. Because I was like, this is it's a subjective
currency.
currency.
It was
it's
completely.
Like,
but
I think Stones of Jordan are worth this. And
it's
you're
also
like, no,
kind
it's
of
worth this.
magical because the game was so ridiculous, but it was great. Yeah. So Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3 are my summer games.
That's a great pool. Yeah, it was actually July 3rd, 2002.
Wow.
And 2002 was a huge year for me. Like, because that was the same year Mario Sunshine came out. And that was my summer game from memory. That came out August, like, 20-something. And I remember I ordered it online. It was one of my first online purchases ever.
Yeah.
I had my own job, my own money. I could buy stuff. I bought this bundle from Nintendo directly. It was all online. It had the player's guide. It had a coupon for a $10 off the Wavebird.
Oh.
Because that was coming out with Mario Sunshine and then a copy of the game. Well, UPS shows up. And I knew the package was coming, but it wasn't like it is today, or you can track it like to the minute on your phone. And so I heard my mom downstairs say, "Why is UPS here?" And I was like, "Oh!" And I jumped out of bed at like 9 a.m. and I sprinted outside and grabbed that box from the UPS driver and ran inside and just tore open that package and just went to town on Mario Sunshine for hours that day. It was amazing. Now I had to work, so I don't remember how much time I had to play, but just that whole memory of all that. And I took the coupon immediately to Walmart and got a Wavebird, and I played through. That was my first Wavebird that I ever bought. Yeah. Because I have 4 now. I've collected over the years. And just played so much Mario Sunshine. The music and the atmosphere is like beachy and summery. You have the flood. You're spraying. You're cleaning up the Isle Delfino vacation spot. Like, I love Mario Sunshine so much. Even to this day, I still play it every single summer. I haven't fired it up this summer yet, and I'm about to. Like, I've been thinking about Mario Sunshine way too much. And I listened to the soundtrack at work the other day, and I was like, okay, just need that moment at home. Like, I'm going to fire this up. I can't wait.
I really wish they would do a Delfino DLC for Odyssey for you. For you. Like, I just want you to be able to play an Isle Delfino DLC.
I would lose my mind. That'd be it. Like, Danny'd get fired. Like, it's just I'm playing Mario Odyssey at work like all day, and my kids would hate me. Kid, and my
kids.
Wife,
what is that enough?
No second at all. Promise you. Promise.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is that it?
That's it. That's my summer.
All right.
You pulled Warcraft 3. That was another one. That was perfect.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, DLC is over. And now we got a very special topic for you guys because I'm really excited about this.
Me too.
So, you guys are probably now familiar, those who listen to us regularly. For those just joining us, welcome. We're ready to be Podsmash. I hope you enjoy this topic. So, for our regular listeners, though, you're familiar with we do a couple of like series, yeah.
How do you pluralize that, by the way?
Series. I think it's like So we have two series. We have the everything franchises that we do, where we do everything Mario or everything Zelda. We pick a specific game franchise and we just kind of go in depth about it. Mostly not really depth about like, we do talk about the history of the game and stuff like that, but mostly we just talk about like what are our favorite things of those franchises. And memories and stuff like that. Yeah. But and then we have another series that we call deep dives, which are our genre deep dives, where we go into depth talking about a specific genre and like the ways it's innovative and what it's added to the industry. And those are things like fighting games and first-person shooters and stuff like that. So that's our deep dive series. We're starting a new series today.
Ooh.
Brand new series where we're going to go in depth and discuss specific developers. So we're calling them developer profiles, and we are starting with Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog.
Ba, 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 ba,
Ba,
ba,
ba,
ba. Uncharted. If
Yes.
you've ever played Uncharted or The Last of Us, that's how Naughty Dog is known today.
Yes, that's their thing today. So
what
yeah,
they
well, you just rolled right into it. Let's
I
talk
did.
about like who are Naughty Dog, what are they known for, and what's a little bit about their story, their history.
They are an American game developer,
Mm-hmm.
so they're considered Western.
Yep, and they're located in Santa Monica, I want to say.
I don't know where they
I
are.
think Santa Monica, California is what I was reading.
That'd be
so
great.
They're
go.
yeah, out of Santa Monica.
You
Yeah.
wanna take a tour?
I actually did because I went to their website to kind of see how
Yeah.
they describe themselves.
Yeah.
And I moused over their career page.
Yeah? Yeah? Did you
just to
find
see
anything?
what
Did you get
there was
anything?
anything that it was all technical, mostly technical stuff.
Was there any
so.
software engineering?
Although there's a
stuff?
ton of it, I don't know what
Uh-oh.
if it's anything that you'd be able to do, but you check it out. You can check it out.
Hey, maybe I'll take a look.
Yeah, just take a little peek.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're rooted out of Santa Monica. They were founded in 1984 by a couple guys, Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin. I don't know if they're still with. I was going to look and see if they're still with the company because I think
We have done so much research on this. Where are they located? Are the guys even still in it?
yeah,
What are we doing?
Totally. They were. There was a lot of information that I think it would have been redundant to put down. So I don't know too much about their story, but we're kind of just trying to hit the highlights here.
This would be a good time to talk about the caveat here.
Yes.
So, like,
yes.
if you listen to a professional video game podcast, these guys are in the industry. They're at every single expo. They have interviews and insight to Naughty Dog. They know the people that work there. They have regular contact with them, and they have there's tons of inside information that we have no access to.
Yeah.
We're not cool enough yet.
Nope.
Naughty
No.
Dog doesn't give a crap about who we are at the moment.
But that's
can
we also don't. We're not in Naughty Dog's pocket. We're not promoting one of their games. We're not
Right.
promoting anything. We're just fanboys, and we want to talk about it. And
So
share
we're
something we
looking
love.
at Naughty Dog from the fan perspective.
Yep.
So we can look online at some facts and information and talk about that, and we can speculate about what they're doing.
Right, and we're going to
we
give
play
our
their
impressions
games,
and things like
we're
that.
going to talk
yeah.
about the history thereof. So excuse us for not having all of the crazy minutia of
right.
the insider information
Yes.
of what Naughty Dog is.
Yes, straw man listener out there who's sitting there yelling at us for not having all of our details.
It is the
together.
internet, right?
Curse you, Penguin and Termite! How dare you offend me so? That's what I imagine our straw man listener sounds like. But yeah, so in the relevant information is they were founded in 1984. In 2001, they were acquired by Sony. They had a close relationship with Sony during the PlayStation 1 and 2 eras, and then were kind of made official. They made it official by being acquired in 2001. So the games they're known for are Crash Bandicoot, 1996 for the PS1, and that whole franchise, really, I think they developed.
That was kind of what put them on the map.
Yeah, that put them on the map.
They had this old
Right, yeah.
I have it on my shelf.
Yeah,
and
I'm literally looking at it right now, yeah.
It's called Way of the Warrior for the 3DO.
Uh-huh.
It was like this campy fighting game. It looks like gory and
Yeah.
horrible.
Right.
But they made it, and that kind of helped them
Yeah.
in their milestones and
Right.
getting established.
Right.
But
on their website, it's interesting because they say that, though technically we were founded in 1984, we really didn't make anything that mattered until 1996.
Yeah,
So that's-
yeah.
And there's
yeah.
their own self-history. They talk kind of started with Crash Bandicoot. In 2001, when they were acquired by Sony, they made Jak and Daxter,
Yes.
another popular title.
For the PlayStation
For the
2.
PlayStation 2, yep. Mhm. And then their next really big franchise was Uncharted in 2007, as was mentioned by
That was a
Termite. and
PlayStation 3
Yep.
exclusive.
Mhm. And was also, we did the music for.
Yes.
And then their most recent franchise that they've become quite famous for is The Last of Us,
Yes.
which was a PlayStation 4. 3 exclusive.
Yep.
And then
the end of PlayStation 3's
Yes.
life cycle.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, those are really the main four we're going to be talking about,
Mhm.
even though they have done other projects and they've actually been involved in a lot of projects.
They have.
They've
Both
had
Andy Gavin
spin-offs.
and Jason Rubin are not any longer with
Gotcha.
Naughty Dog.
Okay.
So they're
Interesting.
gone. I don't know if Andy Gavin has moved to a game developer studio, but Jason Rubin was working for THQ before they went under.
Oh,
So I don't know
wonder
what
if
he's doing
with
now.
Gunfire or not.
I don't know.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, the founders are not with Naughty Dog any longer. Yep.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and talk then of those. Well, maybe not of those four, but just in general. What's your favorite Naughty Dog game?
So you had to limit me.
I did.
I want to talk
Because
about
you were
everything.
just going to talk about all
right?
four of them. And I was
Yeah,
like, you're just
yeah,
going to
well,
repeat
you know.
what we just talked about.
So I'm going to talk about Jak and Daxter.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that this is my favorite game because I didn't really play. I played Jak and Daxter when it came out on the PlayStation 2, and then didn't finish it. We just rented it or whatever, and it was
Yeah.
fun. It was cool. The HD collection came out on PS3. Now, when I picked up that game, I was swimming in a sea of AAA high-budget movie-like action games like Gears of War and Call of Duty that were like realistic, violent, gory. Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
I mean, all the artistic style of video games in general were realism.
It was like gritty realism, yeah.
Right. Even the racing games at the time were like Forza 3 and Forza 4 and Gran Turismo 5. Like, those were super realistic racing games. Like, nothing really cartoony or
imaginative.
Was coming out. So I popped in Jak and Daxter HD collection because I was like, yeah, I'd love to revisit that. That'd be great. And I was just like enamored by the cartoons and the graphics and like the graphic style, the art style, because the graphics were PS2 era.
Yeah.
And they were ported forward, so they weren't the best. But they weren't realistic at all. But they loved it. And it was just like, it brought back that like imaginative kid sitting in front of the N64 playing Banjo-Kazooie kind of vibes. Like,
Jack's a like blonde-haired like anime boy.
Yeah.
And then Daxter is what is he?
I don't know. He's like
kind of rodent, some kind of ferret or something. Like,
yeah, ferret's probably a good description. And they're on like a tropical island, and so it's colorful, and the music's kind of like fun, and like Ratchet and Clank would be today, kind of like that. And I was just their jokes and their quips are very reminiscent of like what they do for Uncharted today. So you can tell like Uncharted's a natural step in their writing style and like their humor from what Jak and Daxter did. It's a kind of open world, what open world meant back in PlayStation 2. This was it. So, like, you could say this was an open world game back then, before we had the modern idea of what that was. Yeah. Right. So it was like Mario 64 open world.
Right.
As opposed to Crash Bandicoot, which is very linear.
Yeah.
So that's the jump. So it had like this open world environment with lots of collectibles, very reminiscent of Banjo-Kazooie. So I use that as a reference point a lot here. Because they can draw...
Yeah, there was just a time period in game design, I guess it was like mid 2000s, early 2000s, where like if you were going to make like a cartoony platforming action game, you're going to have like a character and sidekick. Like it was like Ratchet and Clank, Banjo-Kazooie, Jak and Daxter. Yeah, exactly.
Like Rare's like N64 games, Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie and its sequel, and Jet Force Gemini. There's just tons of these like open world collectathon games.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you can see the industry chasing after Mario 64's success. And like, so everyone wanted to do that. But anyway, we digressed. So Jak and Daxter had that vibe, which was so refreshing to me at the time that it stood out as an HD remake.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when it had first come out on the PS2, it was kind of 60 frames per second was a thing. Like, that was awesome. It was very smooth and high res at the time for PS2. So it was kind of like getting that the Rareware experience from the N64 days, but like refreshed when it came out.
Yeah.
So that was really good too. So I'm going to highlight Jak and Daxter as one of my favorite Naughty Dog games for those reasons.
Yes.
Now, fast forward to today, which is like 16 years later.
Right.
And now we have Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to highlight that as the pinnacle of the Uncharted series.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to say that, yes.
Over Uncharted 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, personally, I like Uncharted 2 is the best, but I want to talk about 4 as like more objectively the best.
Okay.
It shows Naughty Dog's evolution in their style. Like, that is the pinnacle of their writing, of their AAA kind of like big budget graphical production, sound production, voice acting quality, gameplay perspective. They just nailed it. Like, the polish in that game is phenomenal, because the early Uncharted ones, like, there's a couple of bugs here and there. Like,
gameplay is a little frustrating and takes you out of it at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
So that it breaks immersion when you go into some of the encounters and stuff. Well, Uncharted 4, like, it just nailed it. Like, it just took everything in the Uncharted formula and like made it really, really good.
Good.
And it shows the evolution, because Jak and Daxter's kind of like teenager Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And Uncharted 4 is like early
We're
30s.
Adults. Yeah.
Yeah, like early 30s Naughty Dog.
Right.
And so it's really cool to compare and contrast how they've evolved as a studio. They've gotten so much better technically with their gameplay mechanics and their solid polishing, with their graphical design, their animation, and their art style being more realistic, but yet still kind of throwing those hooks back to their comedy and like lightheartedness, but with weighty characters.
Right.
And like the writing is just really, really good. So I love, and this is why we're talking about Naughty Dog, because like they have that kind of diversity in just within the last 16 years.
Yeah, they put out
PS2 to
good
PS4.
stuff. Like anything they put out is
quality.
Is pretty much going to be received with critical acclaim, at least since everything they put out since Uncharted. Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I could go into a giant monologue about The Last of Us.
Well, then let me talk about The Last of Us, because The Last of Us was my favorite. Now, So, and I'll sort of caveat by saying I wasn't really a Sony kid. So my experience with most PlayStation 2 era games was because I had some neighbor friends who had a PlayStation 2 and I would go over and play, but it was really whatever they wanted to play. So even though I would see a title like Jak and Daxter and be like, oh my gosh, I want to play that. Like if my friends didn't get it or weren't interested in it, I was never going to see it. So I missed out on, so a lot of those titles I just mentioned, Banjo-Kazooie, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, I missed out on a lot of those titles for that exact reason. So Jak and Daxter I never was into, and same with Crash Bandicoot, I never really got into either of those titles, though I still perfectly respect them and understand they're amazing games.
You should borrow the Crash Insane trilogy.
I
from me at some
really
point.
would like to at some point when I've got free and time.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk. I still also need to borrow Uncharted 4 from you.
You
so
should play that
I've got
first.
a Naughty Dog list, on you with Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4 to borrow from you. Anyways, so yeah, I missed out on both of those games. And then, again, Uncharted, not only was Uncharted, did it come out during my WoW phase, but it also was for PlayStation. So I would even, PlayStation 3, which is the lowest console on my list at the time.
Right.
So I missed out on that entirely. So, and then similarly, I missed out on The Last of Us.
You did, the first one.
The first one, yeah. So I literally, my first experience with any Naughty Dog game was The Last of Us, and it was this year.
Jeez.
So I am a fresh baby Naughty Dog fan.
Wow.
But boy, oh boy, was I a fan. Like, I loved The Last of Us. So I started playing Last of Us right before I got God of War. And the parallels between those two games are just astounding, at least from a storytelling perspective and a character development perspective. Like, gameplay is obviously wildly different and setting are wildly different, but like the heart of the story that's told in both those games is two reluctant father figures having to figure out how to deal with their child figures that they have no idea how to deal with. And then having to grow as a result of it, being thrust into this circumstance and having to grow as a result of it. Like, remarkable storytelling, remarkably heavy themes and adult themes for games that are, again, just now like a medium that's just now becoming like recognized as being able to tell serious stories like that. And yeah, so I loved it. I loved the crafting mechanic. It all felt very like going through the game felt very natural. At no point, like though I can say I was feeling it, like felt like I was playing a game, unlike Uncharted, where it would pull me out of the story sometimes when I had to like do shooty mechanics. Like The Last of Us, it just felt like the whole, I mean, maybe it was because of the premise, but the whole thing, I feel like I'm constantly in danger, so I constantly always need to expect to run into a circumstance that's going to be challenging.
Yeah, and The Last of Us came out after Uncharted 3.
Yeah.
So it was their like latest game before Uncharted 4.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I really enjoyed Last of Us. So I'm going to say Last of Us is probably my favorite Naughty Dog game. Though, like I said, because of my interest in Last of Us, I was interested in catching up on Uncharted and have since at least played the Nathan Drake collection and played 1 through 3, thanks to Termite here. So I have been catching up on my Naughty Dog, and I did enjoy the Uncharted series. But again, I started Uncharted 1 expecting it to be similar enough to The Last of Us to be interesting, and they are very different games. There are some similarities.
There are,
but they are very different games. So I had to adjust my. I had to like crank it back because I was like, nope, this is not The Last of Us. Did you really? Because I feel like I walked into it expecting it to be.
I was like, dude, Uncharted 1 is rough.
Okay, you did say it was
the Nathan
rough.
Drake collection. They fixed it. Blue Point, like Blue Point's the developer house that did the port.
Oh, the port, yeah.
They fixed a lot of issues, but Uncharted 1 compared to The Last of Us, it is a thing in the industry that those two feel like entirely different consoles.
Right.
They're both PlayStation 3 games, but one's a launch title almost, and the other one's the swan song of PlayStation 3.
Right. But even like the story, like even the level of writing. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that writing Uncharted got good until 2.
Yeah, that's
granted.
right.
I think that Uncharted 1 told a perfectly fine story for a video game.
Foundational, and it was expected at the time.
Yeah,
like that's what's cool is like Naughty Dog is almost like spearheading each era. Of
storytelling. Yeah, they really. If you play their games, they really reflect. Because like,
what did gaming look in this year?
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot in the 90s is really what gaming, linears, just fun collectathon games. Jak and Daxter were like, oh, let's take that and expand upon it. Because that was what the 2000s were all about. Let's take what gaming has done well and expand upon it.
Yep.
But still fairly juvenile, and then Uncharted was
the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like let's be more, but like let's make it a little bit more I want to say like it's still colorful and fun.
They added the storytelling element
Yeah,
to an already established
yeah.
kind of game mechanic. which
Right,
is
but
the
then also
platforming
made it a little bit more
exploring.
grounded in reality too, which is
Yeah.
all the
Mhm.
mid to late 2000s was all about.
Right.
And then
That whole like movie style like storytelling.
And then The Last of Us was like, oh yeah, no, let's like really make an artistic experience because we
Yeah.
can. Like that's what because games can now. So
Mhm.
it's like, oh yeah, like The Last of Us for sure is like the pinnacle, one of the pinnacles of video game storytelling.
Mhm.
It's remarkable.
The Last of Us is one of the first games that ever made crafting to me fun.
Yeah.
I
Oh
hate
my
crafting
gosh.
systems
Yes.
in games.
Oh,
And-
it's so good. And on the it definitely paved the way for things like Horizon Zero
Yeah.
Dawn and even Breath of the Wild of
Mhm.
being like, okay, let's like crafting and a sort of survival and just pick up what you have and use what you have. Like,
Great segue to the next question is what
yeah.
Naughty Dog
I think
brought
we've already been talking
to
about
the
it.
industry as far as innovation.
Yeah.
And yeah, the crafting system that's inherent in the game. It doesn't
Yeah.
take you out of the game. It's not a grindy thing you do on the side. It's
Uh-huh.
like, I'm going to collect the things that I need when I need them. Crap, I need a med kit. Oh, hey, look, I've got all the materials
Yeah.
right here.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to explore every room, and that's going to slow my progress down, but it will allow me to experience the atmosphere that they're creating. and
Yeah.
the ambience there, and the
Mhm.
sounds, and like, it doesn't feel like you're going off the beaten path, even though you kind
Right.
of are. Like,
right.
it helps and aids that. And I think Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War experience the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
uh-huh.
you do have to craft and collect materials in those games, but they don't pull you out of the experience. You don't feel like you're
Right, it's way
grinding.
more exciting. I mean, even
Yeah.
like Tomb Raider does the same thing where you're like, oh, there's stuff over there. Like there's materials over there, and like, and then
Mhm.
I'm going to use it to craft stuff on the fly. Like, it's way more exciting to like enter a new area instead of being like, like in World of Warcraft. I'll contrast it to WoW, where like, oh my gosh, there's a node of ore over there, and I'm a miner on my character. Should I go get it?
yeah.
I really don't feel like going and
Mhm.
getting this mine right now.
World
Like,
of Warcraft was so bad.
right, the crafting system is awful.
As far as crafting,
Right,
gathering. I
and
never
gathering.
did that. I never.
But like in Last of
built
Us, I
those
was
skills
excited to go into every room because I'm like, all right, I'm going to use my little thing, and ooh, there's stuff over here, and ooh, I can
Yeah.
open up this drawer, and ooh, there's tape. Oh, I needed tape. Like,
Yeah.
I get excited when I get tape or alcohol or whatever
Mhm.
you need because you need those
You
things,
find a workbench,
and
like,
you
ooh,
realize
yeah,
how
great.
crucial they are for like the dangerous encounters you're
Mhm.
about to have, and like
Yeah.
ammo is rare, not rare, but it's definitely like it was one of those games, especially early on, where I'm like, yeah, I can't just waste bullets.
Yeah, it's
like,
sparse.
Very,
And
very
it's
interesting.
intentional to
Mhm.
make you feel more tense.
Yeah.
To add that survival element to
Yeah,
the game.
so the gameplay, just again talking about good storytelling and art in games,
Mhm.
like the gameplay is there to support.
Naughty Dog is
the experience.
ridiculously good at weaving the mechanics of gameplay in with the storytelling
Yeah.
and the ambience and what they're trying
Well,
to get
and
you to
even like
feel
the
as a player.
backpack, like the fact that so you had to like so the crafting system was remarkable because you did have to stop what you were doing and get to like a safe spot,
Right.
but then like the characters were actually doing something while you were in your menu, and they'd pull out their backpack, and you could tell they were like
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
it's just
They
a
didn't
little
just
thing.
pause the action. Like
yeah,
some games
or
will
they
just
didn't,
pause
or like
and you go into a menu.
WoW, where they're just sitting there doing like a simple animation with their
Right.
hands. Like no, they like take time to get their backpack and then I was like, oh yeah, like my backpack's full of this stuff.
Mhm.
So it felt like it took the idea of a backpack and made it like a little bit more grounded in reality. Like
Yeah.
like, and then I'll talk about the backpack more later. But so yeah, that's I think so. The other innovations that I think are really good is, and this we had to do a little research for, but according to the Wikipedia page for Naughty Dog, they don't have their publishers involved in the development process at all.
None.
So Sony,
Yeah.
they partner with Sony. Sony is 100% hands off. They don't tell them what games to make. They don't tell them what game elements to include or not include in their games.
hmm
Sony has so much trust in Naughty Dog that they just say, you guys make whatever game you want. We trust it'll be good. We'll publish it.
And they fund it. Like, so the role of a publisher is to provide the financial
And the
backbone
marketing. Yep.
and the
Mhm.
marketing and all of the, like, we're going to produce
Distribution,
your game.
yep.
Distribution, yeah. And so Sony does that. That happens.
Yeah.
But there's no link between Sony and Naughty Dog as far as, hey, we want you to take your game in this direction.
Right.
they're
Or
not
hey,
doing
we
that.
want you to make this game. Like they
Right.
don't do that. They just say you make whatever game you want, however you want it.
We'll pay for it.
And we'll pay for
And
it.
we'll help you sell it.
That is remarkable. That
Yeah,
is
that's amazing.
so much trust. Like that relationship is so good, and it's paid off. Like you can
it's
tell.
So,
Like their
yeah.
games. I mean, yes, it does require like the developer has to kind of prove their stuff.
Mhm.
Like I imagine that Sony probably had more involvement with Jack and Daxter than compared to where they are now with Uncharted.
probably.
But
Yeah.
but nevertheless, like they've proven it, and now it pays off. Like if you give the developer entire 100% creative control over their games, like turns out good, yo. So it's
Yep.
like it's more publishers could stand to trust their developers
That'd be
in that
great.
way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and with the whole like, there's DLC, but there ain't no microtransactions,
Right.
and there ain't no loot boxes in any of their games.
And
like,
apparently,
and not being pressured to do so.
It's another innovation with Naughty Dog is the online component for Last of Us, which I never dabbled with.
Right.
Apparently was really good, and it didn't feel like the grindy Call of Duty Battlefield kinds of style, but it was like deathmatch, and it kept the tones of the single player campaign, which is survival and like being scared and kind of like hiding and scarce resources and those things, and it preserved that in the online sphere.
Oh,
and so
interesting.
like it was a totally different online experience, and now that it's way past, I'm never going to be able to go back and experience that again. But that was just an innovation that they had brought, like linking that single player multiplayer component more than what other games do. And the last innovation that I'm aware of, and you can add more to this if you want, is the brevity. Like it's a shorter game. Like they don't try to make these 80-hour
pad their games,
massive game. Yeah, there's no padding. That's it. There's no filler.
Yeah.
Like this is the story. Every single level has a point. There's and this is for Uncharted and Last of Us. So I'm gonna say like they're newer games. This is how they are. And it's like every scene it matters. Every setting matters. It plays into the story. There's nothing extra. There's no grindy. And it's short. Like you can get a platinum in Uncharted Nathan Drake collection for each game within 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah, and it's there's this philosophy in some game design that seems like you have to fill it with stuff. It has to be long, and it's sort of a quantity versus quality argument. What I really appreciated about playing through the Nathan Drake collection, in fact, the whole reason I played through Uncharted on 1 through 3 was because I was like, I know, because it's Naughty Dog, that I'm going to get a quality experience. I know that they're going to tell a story that moves me, that gets me excited, that gets me pumped, that gets me my heart racing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know it's not going to take me a month to complete.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to take me a couple of weeks each game. And I was able to get through the whole franchise in a month. And that was really valuable to me, to someone who's like, I want... So, like... In the future, I'm going to be like, I'm going to get Naughty Dog games because I know that I'm not going to have to spend forever just to beat them. And I'm not going to get mired down in the like doldrums of the mid-game where it's like, oh, why are we doing this thing again? Like, why am I collecting this?
But even with Last of Us, which is a slower-paced game, still the same thing.
Yeah.
Every setting matters.
Yep.
Everything happens for a reason. Like, it all plays in. And they've just integrated that gameplay mechanic with crafting and survivability and lower ammo and guns and collecting. And, like, everything happens. It doesn't break away. It doesn't feel grindy. And so, like, Last of Us is longer. It's way slower paced, but same thing as the Uncharted games.
Yeah.
Like it is succinct, and it's awesome. It's just good stuff.
Yeah. The other thing we found in our research that we thought was pretty innovative was they seem to be they house. I don't know what that means necessarily, house, but it seems like they're heavily involved in this project that Sony has called ICE. ICE Team, which is, I don't remember what it stands for, but they basically are developing engines for third-party developers to make games with. So for those, I don't know if we got into this in our game development episode, but an engine for a game is just like, it's like
the backbone.
Yeah, the backbone. It's like the physics and
stuff you don't see.
Yeah, it's just kind of, so like a lot of games will use the same engine. And
like the physics engine,
yeah,
or like
exactly.
how things are lighting
in fact,
engines.
people will talk about games, and one of the things they'll ask these days is it a new engine? And a lot of people consider, so for example, like Borderlands 2 and Borderlands pre-sequel, they run on the same engine.
Absolutely.
And it's clear that they run on the same engine. The games feel exactly the same. So when talking about Borderlands 3, the big question is it a new engine? So, and then I think the same question was with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76.
Right.
Are running on the same engine.
They are, yeah.
And so when people talk, or Elder Scrolls, like Scott, one of the big questions with Elder Scrolls 6 is it going to be a new engine?
Right.
Which it undoubtedly is going to be a new engine, but...
It's still iterative. Like,
right.
They come out with these new engines. They're still like based on the ones they were before.
Oh, yeah. But they expand upon them and, make them better. So that's what kind of Naughty Dog helped. Like they're involved in this team that
it's called Initiative for a Common Engine.
Yes.
ICE.
Yeah, and so they do that to help third-party developers essentially give them an engine to work with.
An easier example for listeners to digest is Epic with the Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah,
Unreal Engine's everywhere.
Yep.
You can buy your own license for it today and go start making your own
games.
game.
Yeah,
most indie games use like
Unreal
Unity
4,
or Unreal 4, and so those are engines that you can just apply your own assets to as far as like art and storytelling aspects, character development, and then you have the underlying physics done, you have the lighting engine done, you have texturing and all the mapping and all the technical like details of what it takes to render a game is all done.
They'll take care of and you just have to find ways to make it your own. So cool. So moving on from innovation, let's just talk about I call them like little things. Like, what's a little thing that Naughty Dog like puts in their games? And it could be just like a couple of games, or it could be like in every game. It could be anything. Like, and so we'll talk about this in all of our developer profiles going forward. Is just like little things that are like Naughty Dog, like signatures, like little kisses from Naughty Dog.
For me, the lighting engine between Uncharted 1 and through every single game that they've made, like there's a certain like I don't know what it is. I can't put a word on it, but you can tell it had like its character model shape and lighting engine. Yeah. And Last of Us and Uncharted look almost identical as far as those things. Like, of course, they're varying levels of quality based on when they came out, but like there's a feel there. There's a mixture of like comedy to seriousness, where Last of Us is kind of the more serious side of it, and Uncharted is more of the comedic level. But like, there's just a feeling like you just know this is Naughty Dog. Yeah. Also, there's a trophy in every Uncharted game for getting trophies and these relics. They're separate things, but there's like 2 relics per game, and one of those relics is always an egg from the first Jak and Daxter as one of the collectibles. And so like in every Uncharted game you can see that. That's cool. Yeah. I
there were like 2 things that came to mind. The first one was I talked about the backpack before. I noticed the backpack in both Uncharted and
Last of Us.
At least in early Uncharted 1, like whenever you'd get the collectibles and stuff, like like it was like a backpack. I don't know if the interface looked like a backpack or what, but I remember like he had a backpack, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where he puts his relics he finds randomly. Like, and it just it made the idea of an inventory just like make sense in kind of that grounded way. But the other thing, the even bigger thing, and I actually realized this as we were talking about it, was death, like the way they handle death.
Oh yeah, they go
Uncharted.
black and white.
Yeah,
it's a ragdoll effect.
And then there's also like you also see the characters die. And like in both games, I thought because there were there were certain points in both games when I kept dying over and over again. It was the first game where I thought, I want them to put together a montage of all my stupid deaths in these games.
That would be hilarious. Like at the end, after the credits, or during the credits, would be perfect.
Just all of your
an entire
stupid deaths, like falling off a stupid thing is like missing a swing in Uncharted, or running into a random like clicker and or like failing to switch guns in time in Last of Us. Like there's so many things where I was like, this would make a perfect death scene. Yeah. So like the way they handled death with the black and white, and then also seeing your character like meet their horrible fate was great in both games. I was like I felt like this is a Naughty Dog thing. I'm sure there are other games that do similar things, but I was like, this is like a Naughty Dog staple for me. And so if they don't include it in all their games going forward, I will be disappointed. Yeah. So cool. All right. And then for our last question, let's talk about what would you like to see more of from Naughty Dog, or what would you like to see less of from Naughty Dog in the future? So
this is like almost a bittersweet opinion from me.
Okay.
Like I hate this and love it at the same time about myself. I would love a new Jak and Daxter.
Okay.
And I want it to look and look like Ratchet and Clank today, and kind of bring back that like cartoony awesomeness in video games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I realized that was a less mature Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And so like I hate the fact that I want that.
Right.
Because they could do so much more than that. Like that would limit them as a developer. Yeah. So like it'd be cool. I think they're going in a great direction with The Last of Us Part 2. I think it's awesome. As far as like what's next after that, like Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War kind of set a new standard, and it looks like Spider-Man's going to follow suit.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding. Like all of those games just have this like new level of polish and quality, and like open worldness to them. I don't know how to describe those games, like the commonalities between them.
Right.
But Naughty Dog is going to follow suit.
Yeah, they all have like they're not linear. They all, or at least I don't know about Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding, but they all seem like they're more open, so more of that sandbox, more of that open world. That's all the rage these days.
It is.
And they all seem like they're, again, heavy storytelling, but also heavily stylized and heavily rooted in just good quality. Like everything in those games looks like it feels good to play them. It feels good to do them, whether it's movement, whether it's combat, whether it's collection or crafting. Like it's all supposed to feel very good and rewarding for the player.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the commonalities. So. And again, Last of Us started that trend.
Yeah.
And looks like Last of Us 2 is going to even from the
Push it
gameplay we
further.
saw. It was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, just all
Mhm.
the. And again, we don't know how much of the trailer was staged, so to speak.
Mhm.
But again, Naughty Dog is also known for showing the final product
Yeah.
at E3, and
I
oh
want-
my gosh,
I want Naughty Dog to push the envelope to something I don't know.
yeah,
And I can't answer the question because I don't know what it is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I want them to do something different, something new.
Right, and
And
that's what I was gonna say is my what I want. I want to see a brand new IP for them. I want
Mhm.
them to wrap up The Last of Us' story with The Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Because they've more or less wrapped up Uncharted 4, and it looks like they're going to be making more Uncharted stories, but with
Different characters.
different characters, and
Right,
that's
maybe.
fine. That's fine.
I haven't finished. I haven't even started Lost Legacy.
I was
so
just
I
I
don't
was
know what
reading
that
an
looks like,
interview,
but-
and they were talking about how like they want to keep making Uncharted games with
different characters.
with different
Okay.
characters. Yeah.
Oh, a Sully game would be
Which
awesome.
is great. Like that was like a
Oh,
young Sully, like a young
yeah,
Sully
like
game
just
taking place
everything
in a whole
yeah.
different setting,
Oh,
like
it'd be
time
so
period.
good.
Yeah, that would be great. Anyways, aside from that, that would be great. Those things would be like any of their old IPs would be fine, but I
Mhm.
want them to like their next big creative endeavor to be a new IP. I want them to pull basically a Cyberpunk 77. Like I want them to do what CD Projekt Red is doing, which is to
Mhm.
do a new IP that's a new setting, maybe even a new genre. Like what
Yeah.
if Naughty Dog were to make an FPS? Or what if Naughty Dog were like what if they were to do their take
Yeah,
on like a BioShock?
Yeah.
You know, like a
Oh,
really
yeah.
highly storytelling, like trippy first person shooter game, like
Mhm.
in a very unique setting. Like that would be interesting. Or Naughty Dog's take on like an RTS or like a multiplayer
That'd
like
be weird.
loot shooter. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, but they would do quality. That's what I'm saying is they would put out quality.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see them branch off into doing maybe more game genres, but definitely a new IP.
Mhm.
I could definitely see them doing well with a new IP.
Yeah.
So cool. Anything you want to see less of from Naughty Dog in the future, or you don't care, whatever they put out?
Both Uncharted and Last of Us have a very similar like camera angle and third
Yeah.
person kind of perspective. So like kind of jumping off what you said, changing the perspective, not just the IP, but like something different. That's not just a third person camera
Mhm.
over the shoulder type
Yeah.
of deal. Would be
I can see that.
would be good.
Cool.
So less of that.
Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because like I said, I think
Less
I mentioned this.
gore,
I think I
less
mentioned this. I think I mentioned this in Yeah, you want a game that you can play in front of your kids.
Yeah,
That's why you want Jack and Daxter. That's
I didn't think
that's
about
it.
that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that idea of like a different camera angle, like I think I mentioned this during our E3 coverage, like The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding all felt very similar
Mm-hmm.
because they're all running off of that same like style that Last of Us started.
Yeah.
So, which is that behind the shoulder camera, right
Yep.
behind the camera. So, yeah. So
I would
definitely
argue that Gears of War started.
well, yes, but yeah,
Yeah.
the trend has really taken off since
Yeah.
The Last of Us.
Mhm.
So cool. All right, well, that's all we have for you guys in this developer profile. So we hope you enjoyed it. We're going to do more. So if you
We
have a developer,
huge list of
we have a huge
developers.
list that we want to do. But if you have a developer you want us to do, even if it's a developer we're not super familiar with, we'd love to.
Yeah. Let us know.
Do
Give us
some research.
feedback.
Yep.
Tell us what you want to hear.
Yes. So we're going to do more of those. We've got plenty of more everything franchises planned. We've got plenty of more
Deep dives.
deep dives planned, and we've got some other series in the some new series in the
Yeah,
works
we
too.
do.
So we've got lots of content for you guys going into the year. Don't worry, we had a big old planning session this week where we just churned out ideas after ideas,
And
and
we
so
got a
we've
couple of political topics we're going
Yeah,
to talk
boy,
about.
We got
It's gonna be
content for
fun.
days.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
So hopefully, so don't worry, we're not losing steam.
Not even close.
Yep, not even close.
We're approaching our 1 year.
Exactly.
Keep your ears on
Mhm.
us. Keep your finger on our pulse
Yep.
so that you know first what we're going to be doing for our 1 year.
Yes, yeah, that's exciting.
Those plans are coming together.
Plans are coming together. All right, y'all. Well, so if they want to tell us what developers they want us to cover or what deep dives they want us to do,
To reiterate where they can find us,
yep,
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit.
yep,
Reddit's probably the best place for you to talk as far as like starting
Right.
conversations with each other. If
Mhm.
you want to reach us directly, you can tweet at us. You can send us an email at 80bitpodsmash@gmail.com.
And then again, you can find all of our episodes on our landing page, and you can find us on iTunes where you can share us or write a comment. Review, that's what they are, some social media thing on iTunes, and you can share us on Facebook or share us on Instagram. Tell your friends about the thing you enjoy.
More specifically, if you come to us by way of a business card,
Ooh, because then be
let
floating
us
around.
know. 'Cause
Yes,
we're going to get new business
that's
cards.
your homework.
That's your homework.
Yeah.
If you get a business card from us and you've listened to this episode and you're this far in, hit us with a social media ping. Just
Yep.
let us know that this is you.
Yep.
I got a
Just
business
add us right
card.
now. Add us
Boom.
right now. Boom.
Just do it.
Yeah, and then
Pull
maybe
the car over, stop running, take out the business card, look on the back. It'll tell you exactly where we are. Comment, post, tag
right.
us.
You're no good to us
add
if you're
us.
dead, so please don't get in a car wreck.
Yes.
We also love you and want you to flourish. So,
Yes.
all right, y'all. Well, thanks for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed this episode and have a good week.
Till next week.